We're only able to get 4 of them in. Every week you face 2 opponents. One is COVID and making sure your team is cleared through and healthy and prepared to play. We had a lot of success on our campus in managing that. I think that's a testimony to the good work done by our sports medicine staff and our collaborative partnerships with other healthcare providers in the community, and certainly our testing partnership with Quest Diagnostics. Last week was a huge disappointment for our program to get both teams cleared through COVID issues, and then have a program, get in a situation, make a decision not to get on their team charter and come play us. So, of our 4 games, we're only able to host 1 at home. That's a challenge for us, certainly. We knew that this year was going to be different, and a lot of disruption, and our financial model was fractured in many ways, but we only got one of 4 home games in, and that's a big challenge for us as a department. We got really active over the weekend, really up until this morning, to try and find another opportunity for our students to play a football game. Coach did a really good job in qualifying the team's interest in doing just that, and I felt as the athletics director, and we did as an administrative team, a strong obligation to try and manufacture a game to make that possible. And we looked coast to coast. We talked to Autonomous 5 schools. We talked to a Group of 5 schools. We talked to partners in the bowl space, the conference office, and ran down every lead we possibly could to come up with really no alternatives, no options for our team to continue its season. So we're at a point now. I think Coach is going to be meeting with the team and letting them know really what the status is this afternoon. But we're at a point where I think we've chased down every alternative that we're currently aware of. What becomes a challenge now is just trying to hold a team in place on the expectation of something that may not happen. So we're dealing with the ambiguity and uncertainty as we have since this whole pandemic began. But I just wanted to let everyone know that we've worked really, really hard in every way possible to try and find an opportunity for our team to compete one more time.
Hey, Joe, this is Mike. Now that the season seems like it's officially done, are you more frustrated with the way it played out, or are you still happy that you got at least 4 games in and tried?
I'm always an optimist, Mike. So I can be disappointed in the moment. The bite of last Friday and Saturday is still kind of real for me, but ultimately, we weren't. You're never guaranteed anything, right? And certainly this year we fought for every opportunity to put this team in a position to compete. I think we did a great job in managing, as I said, that first opponent that you take on every week, and things just kind of snowballed against us in a lot of ways. So, and I know the people that in conference that weren't able to come to campus, they're disappointed too. Those are all close colleagues of mine, and they work just as hard as we do to put their team in a position to compete. And when you can't go, you can't go. I'm just so hopeful that we turn the corner on 2020 and we get into a new year where we get a virus in place and we don't have to speak of COVID-19 in the ways that we have this last year ever again.
I know every year you sit down as an athletic director and evaluate a season with every coach. How do you sit down with your football coach and evaluate a season in the middle of the pandemic?
I think Steve Addazio has done a tremendous job in every way. We've faced as much or more adversity than any program in the nation. When you think about, what we had to fight through to get to the point to play, and the messaging that I witnessed him provide to the students in the locker room after each of our games, 3 losses and 1 win. And what I heard him say to that team on Saturday at a breakfast when they were expecting to be eating a breakfast in preparation for a football game that evening. I've got a lot of confidence in who Steve Addazio is as a leader and his ability to connect with young men and make them really understand the value of the sport of football here on our campus.
So I don't know how much you're willing to go into specifics, but certainly there's a school right down the road that at one time had a contract to play you. This has been the second maybe opportunity to play Colorado in a makeup game. Were there any discussions along those lines? And if so, what prevented it?
Yeah, I've got a really strong relationship with Rick George, and I know fans probably hate hearing me say that, but on the administrative side of departments, you know, we're all faced with the same similar set of challenges. So, I mean, and everyone's got to make decisions that are in you know, the best interest of their student athletes. I'm sure, you know, every program, including CU, has to factor in many things. You know, they're a program right now that played enough games and had enough win to be considered for postseason play. So, you know, in our case, you know, an opportunity to play this week or sometime beyond would have been extremely meaningful just for our program development. But they have that opportunity. So, you know, we're faced with trying to find one more just for a chance to line up and develop our program. They know they have one more. So it's hard to assess how each school is going to react to different situations. But, you know, Rick and I consult each other a lot and have conversations that hopefully, you know, over time align with us being able to play in not just football, but multiple sports.
Well, not the Badger, but you didn't directly say in there whether you had talked to Rick about playing this weekend. Did you talk to Rick about playing this week?
I talked to Rick this week. I did.
What were the conversations? How close did you come?
You know, I think early in the week there was an openness to the concept of, but I think, you know, as they evaluated, and I don't know what conversations they have with their conference office, right? So they're, you know, I think each one of us, you know, has a priority to try and get conference games in. You know, as we all know, there's a lot of fluidity to each week, particularly this last week. You know, the Pac-12 already made a decision to pair their programs up that weren't involved in the championship game to I'm assuming to likely provide some TV content and get their teams another opportunity to play. So I think he released a statement that said, you know, their priority was, you know, focusing on conference games and non-conference at this point in time just didn't make a lot of sense to them. So, you know, I did talk to Rick and I saw his statement.
So there were some rumors, I guess, going around online that there were conversations between Colorado State and the University of Georgia to play a game. Can you confirm if there was any truth to that, and if so, what prevented that game from happening?
I don't want to go even, you know, beyond what I just said about Colorado. I don't want to go into any specifics, but, you know, as I said, I mean, I'm sensitive to what's happening on each campus and what schools are trying to do to you know, put their teams in the best position. I'm also sensitive to you know, the attitudes that are developed in locker rooms right now, you know, so I don't know what's going on certain campuses. You know, I know our team was fully motivated to play. They wanted to be a part of another opportunity to participate in a college football game, but to go beyond that, I don't feel comfortable talking about any specifics.
Joe, you said you worked with the Mountain West Conference. Certainly you lost 4 Mountain West Conference games. There are some Mountain West schools that are not playing this weekend that potentially would have been available. Where did that go, and what level of help did the conference offer?
Yeah, I mean, we've got, as I said before, you know, a really collegial league, you know, but we are all managing a lot of adversity, certainly financial adversity on each and every one of our campuses. When you put a team in a travel mode, you know, it's a couple $100,000 that you're making a decision to spend. So, you know, to make up conference games at this point in the season, just, you know, I think certain schools were just at the point that they wanted to declare their season over. You know, but we had conversations, you know, with New Mexico and with UNLV about, you know, possibilities of, but I think each school makes a decision, and, you know, I'm not sure if I was in their shoes that I wouldn't have come up with the same idea that, you know, I've got a chance to conserve resources and move into, you know, mode to prepare for an upcoming year as opposed to trying to finalize a season in 2020.
You kind of left things a little open-ended at the beginning. Is there still a chance, or is this no more? We're done. Players are going to go home, or is there still a chance that you want to keep them around for another day or two and see what might come up?
Yeah, I'll let Coach probably cover that in his comments. He still has to visit with the team yet, I believe this afternoon. If we were in a point where we were willing to kind of sit it out, there could be opportunities with postseason play. We're learning that a lot of the A5 schools that had alignment with bowls may not decide to participate at all. So, but I think that becomes pretty challenging, Kelly, because, you're holding students in place after a long and challenging fall semester. We're in finals right now. Our kids haven't, in most cases, probably seen their families since I arrived on campus in June. So it's, that's asking a lot of a young person to hold in place for the possibility of an opportunity to play a football game that might not transpire.
I apologize for my dog trying to jump in here, but I know you've addressed this before, but as you come down the stretch here toward Christmas, have you been able to reassess or assess even further where this leaves the athletic department financially, the wounds that have transpired because of all of this?
I was just in a budget meeting before I jumped in with you all. We run two financial entities. One is the stadium, and one is the department itself. And there's a transfer that comes over from the stadium. I think we're going to meet our plan this year. And when I say our plan, I mean, we obviously made some significant revisions to our plan through the summer. And, we've made some assumptions. And but I think at the end of the fiscal year, we should be able to navigate pretty close to what we assumed we would need to do. We have drawn our operating expenses as close to zero as we possibly can. Obviously, when you start competing, you're moving teams around and lodging teams and feeding teams. So we can't go to zero, but we made significant cuts in our operating budget. I think I've covered this dynamic with this group before, but in the stadium budget, 75% of the stadium budget is debt service, and we were able to work with our bondholders to employ a scoop and toss strategy. So we significantly reduced what was due on the stadium debt service this year, which has been a difference maker in us to be able to navigate to the right outcome for our department financially.
Joe, I'm curious. Sorry, Sean at the Post here. How big a hurdle were the Pac-12s, back to the showdown thing again, their conditions for non-Pac-12 teams playing and out of conference games? And was that prohibitive to you guys? And do you think it would have been prohibitive either way?
We never really got to that level of detail, but I mean, we built all of our programming for COVID testing off of the NCAA's resocialization guidelines, and then even amped it up. I mean, we were doing 3 PCRs a week. I think a lot of the Pac-12 schools committed to a protocol that was antigen. If you look at the antigen numbers and statistics, I think people are much more comfortable with the PCR. So I guess I could make a strong argument that what the Mountain West did with a full protocol of three weekly testing as a PCR was as good, if not better, than anything else that was happening around the country.
Guys, just so you know, Coach Addazio is waiting, so just 2 more questions for Joe, please.
Joe, where things stand right now, how confident are you that the men's and women's basketball seasons will be able to conclude on time?
We're having great success, right? I mean, our both our programs have started their seasons finally. Obviously, the men's program had a bit of delay in their start. I think we're going to work hard as a university and as a department and each of those programs to make sure that we're prepared and ready to play. You can't necessarily predict what COVID's going to do every week. And then, there on the other side of it is an opponent ready to play you. But, I think if we can get into league play, I think we'll have a level of success where, hopefully our kids will feel satisfied and feel like they've got a season in and it was a worthwhile experience to compete.
Joe, I'm curious to jump in. How will you remember, because probably won't talk to you for the end of the year, 2020, everything that's gone on off the field? It's been a roller coaster in a lot of ways for you guys as a department, and a little bit for you personally, professionally, I would think. How do you reflect?
It's been a tough year. I mean, there's no denying that. It's been faced with challenges that I never would have assumed could have been possible with a pandemic and some of the other things that you've just spoke of. But I'm optimistic. We've got a really strong department, people who care about the student athlete experience. We've got a lot of students that are committed to CSU and have really wanted to try and make something of this year. And it's our obligation to try and create an environment where they can have a wonderful experience. And we're working hard to do that. But I'm certainly ready to see what 2021 brings for us all.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate it. Guys, Steve Addazio is ready to join us.
Okay, guys.
Hey, Steve, this is Mike Brohart. When you get a look back on this season, what are you happiest with? What's kind of keyed your frustration?
Well, I'm happy with the fact that we got to play. Happy that we got to have a preseason, got to prepare our team, learn about our team. I thought we accomplished a lot of things that I wanted to get accomplished. From the standpoint I wanted to, as I said before, I really felt like we needed to develop in a run defense. I think we needed to develop a run offense. And those are really hard things to do. So I was excited about that. Like I said, we learned about our team. We're an explosive team. And, we started to come together as a team. So those are things that happened. I think, it's upsetting to me that we played 4 games when we were supposed to play 8. And I think that's inexcusable. That's very frustrating to me. I certainly understand the larger problem here, and I get the whole. I know all the challenges. Probably our last game was most frustrating to me, of all of them. But big picture, we are fortunate that we got in what we got in. A lot of people put a lot of work into making this happen, whether it be Terry Desir and our medical staff and Joe Parker and Steve Cunningham and Shalini and everybody. I mean, put a lot into making this, making this a reality and really working really, really hard, even up to these last minutes here, trying to help us continue to develop our football program. So, I would say the 4 games and frustrating, and the way it's not just 4, but it's the way it's just the luck of the draw of how the 4 played out, missing your opener and then going on the road and who you played on the road and 1 home game. But I would say a highlight for me, though, is beating Wyoming here at home in our single home game. I thought we played our most complete game, and that's a heck of a game to go get. And I thought that gave a great taste to our team of, what it can feel like. So I was excited for that and certainly thankful for that.
Joe addressed the situation, but in your mind, how close did you come to playing another game this week? When did you give up on that idea, and what would it have meant to be able to play one more game?
Well, I still haven't given up on it. And how close were we to, putting that together? I'd say probably extremely close. And, my mindset, just so we're clear, is, our team wants to opt in. Okay. We're not looking to opt out. We're opting in. We're dying to play another game, anybody, any place, anytime, anywhere. And those are the facts. And so that's our mindset. It's getting to be very challenging right now. I'd say right now, I kind of had set today as sort of a deadline, just because I don't think it's fair to the kids at a certain point here. I do think there'll be opportunities, but you wouldn't know that for a while now. We were fighting like heck to get something done for this Saturday, or certainly in one of those early bowl slots. So our kids are great. Our kids wanted to compete. We wanted to compete. It's a little frustrating. that we've got teams around us and they're not playing and we can put this together. But, you know, in college football right now, I just, you know, I'm frustrated by a lot of this stuff. I'm frustrated by our last game that's inexcusable what happened. And it really aggravates me that, you know, we should pay the price to me for, I think it was selfish. And so there are some things that bother me, but we'll march forward, and I can only control what I can control here. And I love the attitude of our players right now.
But just to be clear, have you shut down preparation for a weekend game, or are you going to continue working as if you will play this weekend? A, and B, are you at all upset or cynical about the idea of you could have played Colorado down the road and that didn't seem to be considered serious?
Okay, so let me make sure I don't forget each one of those questions. First off, we are not going to, you know, practice this week. I'm going to have a team meeting when I leave here and explaining to the team that at this point, you know, we haven't been able to secure anything, and it's, you know, it doesn't look like that'll happen. And you know, to shut the door on anything, I've learned not to shut the door on anything ever. I don't know what anything could be relative to playing Colorado, CU. Yeah, I would say, just being honest, that's very frustrating to me. I felt like we've had two matched up opportunities, but I don't walk in anybody else's shoes. I don't really know what, I think I know what goes into some of these decisions, but I'm not going to suggest that I have the answers. Everybody's got their own deal they got to deal with, you know, and this is awfully unique times, but I would have loved to have seen that kind of game. I mean, we're up the street. I mean, there's a lot of interest. I mean, guys, if you don't know anything about me at this point in time, know this, like, I want to play ball. Okay. And you get better by playing games. I'm not into all this stuff that's going on, you know, who's out, who's this, who's that. And again, I'm not trying to be, I mean, I don't walk in everybody's shoes, but I am saying, like, ultimately you play this, you work 365 days a year as a player. All right. For what? 12 shots guaranteed. That's it on a given good year, on a real year. I mean, that's all you get. I mean, you play this sport to play the game, not to push sleds in the weight room. I mean, you know, that's just me. So I'm always going to be wired that way. I mean, to me, to get to any kind of bowl game or any kind of extra game is what a unbelievable, you know, privilege. And, you know, like, I don't know, like, if I didn't have two fake knees, I'd try to go down the YMCA and play pickup basketball games and compete on the basketball floor. I mean, I play the game. Play the game. Stop worrying about who you're playing and what's the perception and what if we lose, or this is what I hear a lot going on in the country right now. It's all strategic kind of based. And I'm like, are you kidding me? How about the spirit of college football? Let's go. So I'm, you know, I'll move on, but right now I'm a little irritated of our sport all around the country right now. And I don't want to act like I'm not sympathetic. I am. I understand these are unbelievably hard times. I'm not acting like that. But, you know, if you can play, you play. If you can't, you can't. But, I mean, I'd love to play. How about we leave it like that?
What steps, Steve, do you wish the conference would have taken that you would have liked them to have taken that they didn't?
I didn't even let you finish your sentence. I guess what you're going to ask me is, I mean, the Big Ten and Pac-12, they arranged for games this weekend and crossover games and all kinds of stuff. I mean, Mike, yes to all the above. Like, you know, we got teams that are sitting idle right now. Why not play if you can play? I mean, you know, people are playing, I guess, so why not us? I mean, that's my mindset. I'm not interested in this being twisted. Like I'm just want to put people at risk and I want to do this. No. All the safety protocols are in place. All the testing's in place. I'm just saying people are playing. Why not us? That's all. You know, I'm fully aware of what's going on around us in the world. And I'm fully cognizant of that and respect that. But in the same breath, once again, a vast majority of college football is playing this weekend. We're not.
Steve, does some of your frustration deal with the fact that the rules kind of changed on you during the process? You lost one game because your university's pandemic team shut it down when, based on numbers that we were provided with and that they provided, you would have met the criteria to play that game at Air Force. Then Utah State's players, use the opt-out for something that really was completely un-COVID related. Is that part of the frustration, is that you could have gotten 2 more games in if they had just stuck to the rules that were put out in October when the season was resumed?
Yeah, I mean, that's frustrating. Yeah, I mean, and relative to our last game, what's next now? If all of a sudden, now we're getting down to like, where's the bowl game? Where's the site? Do we want to play? Do we not want to play? Is it a big enough bowl? Is it not a big enough bowl? Blah, 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 blah. I mean, I don't like some of these directions. Relative to everything else, I mean, I'm just one of those guys. Tell me what the rules are. Tell me what, be transparent, communicate with me what's going on. And I realize that things change in a pandemic, but in the same breath, I had a hard time understanding how one day we can't play and 2 days later we're good to go again. Yeah, I guess I don't really understand that, but I'm not in charge of that. And that's not my job. My job, I guess, is to follow directions. And that doesn't mean I don't have the right to question them, or doesn't mean I wouldn't like more transparency into how decisions get made that would affect people's lives. I think sometimes things are very flippant because, like I'm supposed to, I have to respect also other people, what they have to do and making their decisions. I mean, there's a lot that goes in here too. So my thing would be this: the overreaching view of everybody is this, especially related to COVID, is this: keep everybody safe. I am 100% behind that. Have the right protocols in place. The safety and welfare of our players in all the players is absolutely number one. But if you decide you're going to play and you have a set of protocols, then you follow them. And if that's really what it is, and they're not changing from day to day, then that's what it is. But am I frustrated? We prepared for 8 games. That means we basically had almost on all of them, not all of them, but almost on all of them, a complete full week of work that went into that. Hours on top of hours. And we played 4, only 1 at home. We probably, in our conference, played the fewest games, I'm guessing. And in the country, probably one of maybe a handful of teams that played 4 games or less. I'm sure it can't be more than on one hand. So, that frustrates me, and I'm not sure that the whole setup of numbers really came into play for any one of these games, in terms of the conference mandated numbers. So that's frustrating to me. But, I'm trying to press the pause button and just say, okay, let's keep a big picture view here. We played 4, be grateful for what you have, but disappointed? Heck yeah. And I think the competitive spirit is alive and well in our football program, and we're frustrated by this. But you know what? We'll move forward, and whatever we can get done, we'll get done. And I am very grateful. We are very grateful to the people that just work so hard around this university to help us be able to accomplish what we did accomplish.
As you look forward, what are some of the biggest takeaways you're going to have of what your team did this season and what the next steps are to building this program the way you want it built?
Well, obviously, beating Wyoming at home was a big deal. We learned how to stop the run. We learned how to run the ball. We were a very explosive team offensively each game. We need to do a much better job on third down, especially third medium. And I would say on third down, we improved on defense, but we need to do a better job. I think on special teams, it's just such a weird deal. First couple of weeks, we felt like, wow, we're really playing at a high level. And then all of a sudden, we do what we do against Boise, and then we take the number 18 ranked kickoff team in America, and whatever that's worth on a few games, probably not much, but we go down and do what we did. And none of it was, it's just unseen things. I'd say that was frustrating, but it's probably a good indicator of the complete turmoil on our roster with contact tracing and players playing in spots that had no bank, meaning hadn't had a chance to work on the proper, amount of time and fundamentals or schematics of what that was. So that's frustrating, but we saw enough in special teams where we feel like, I know it probably sounds crazy, but we could be damn good there. So we feel very, very optimistic about where we are and where we're headed. And feel like on this weird 4-game sample, we got a lot done. And now, like everybody in the country, are into roster management, solving whatever issues, keeping your team in a great place, and then having an unbelievable offseason, getting ready to sign a class, just all the normal stuff that's going to go on. But I really like where we're headed, guys. I think you've probably seen enough of me. I'm not a big, pie in the sky guy. I deal with what I see pretty good. And from my eye and my experience, I think we have the real foundational blocks in place. And that's more important to me than anything. And I know our team believes that. And, we'll have some change and turnover and different stuff. And I think we continue to pull together as a football team and a program, and I think develop our culture. And, and we'll continue to grow the things that we didn't have a chance to do really last year. I mean, the foundation pieces of building a football culture just weren't allowed to happen. So some of this stuff will happen now, and I'm looking forward to it.
Hey, Steve, something to give you optimism. Is it tomorrow? I mean, you sign a new class. Is that something that gives you reason to look forward and not be frustrated about?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not frustrated about looking forward in any way, shape, or form. I'm excited about, our future. I'm excited about our recruiting. I'm excited about our players. I mean, I'm grateful and excited for an awful lot, and I mean that wholeheartedly. I'm frustrated with, our lack of, let's call it, the football gods relative to playing games and how it all went down. But, and I'm frustrated with college football a little bit that way too. A couple of things that I see happening that, it's not the way that, not the way I see it personally, but that's probably a broader question. But our team, I like it. And I'm very optimistic and very excited. And, we're going to go through, there's a lot of stuff going on right now, and there will be on every team in America. So this will be an interesting, pivotal, critical time as you head into the early off season here with recruiting and everything else.
How much work is still being done right now behind the scenes to secure what you're going to sign tomorrow?
Oh, that's always ongoing. There's work going on there. There's work going on with our own team. College football today, you're re-recruiting your team every month. It's just the way it is. I mean, you just better realize that's how that goes between, the NFL and all kinds of stuff. Days, the old days, those days are gone in terms of now it's like, everybody's trying to recruit everybody else's team. I mean, it's kind of a sad commentary, really. It's pathetic, but that's where it's at.
Steve, in terms of, because obviously normally in a normal college football year, you always got seniors moving on and all that. But with this year, nobody lost a year of eligibility. Obviously, some people will move on anyway. Do you have any idea of who may choose to take that extra year of eligibility? If there's anybody who's already said, I'm moving on to the pros, or I'm moving on past college football, or anything like that?
Yeah, those are all ongoing conversations right now. Sure, all the above will happen. Don't forget, there's still something called a budget, and as you're allowed 85 scholarships, and all of a sudden say you have 95 people. I mean, who's paying for the other 10? So these are real life conversations. I think they're more applicable to guys that have, gotten their degrees. In college football, you guarantee that you're going to, graduate your student athletes. They're going to have their 4 years, and you're going to graduate them. But once they've graduated or on target to graduate, that fifth year is really, I think across the country is looked at as, certainly not guaranteed and never has been. And, it's based on a lot of factors, right? It's, ability to contribute to the team. It's academic status. It's a lot of things. Well, now all of a sudden this year, there's another piece here, and that's called the financial piece. And every institution is in a different situation financially, and those decisions have to really be looked at and scrutinized. So, I think it's great the NCAA was able to do that, but that doesn't mean that every university can then therefore increase their roster by 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. I mean, you could see the gamut on a lot of places. And so, you guys all know what's going to happen now, right? It's the haves and the have-nots. And some of these places, if they want to go back to the old days where they could say, oh, wow, we're going to have, we'll put 100 guys on scholarship right now, and find a way to get 100 on there. Probably will. And to me, there's always the unintended consequences of trying to do things for the right reasons that aren't well thought out, and they create problems, and you've got to deal with all these issues. And so that's all in front of us right now. Yep, all in front of us.
In terms of, I know you said there's still ongoing talks with potential new recruits jumping in, and tomorrow's just the early signing period. I mean, there's still more time to come. But with where you're at right now and the players that have committed, how are you feeling about the guys you have signed and committed and the people who will be signing tomorrow?
Yeah, great. I mean, yeah, I mean, I feel like, you know, as I said, I can't really speak on recruiting, but in generalities, I'm very, very excited. Looking forward to tomorrow and very excited about, you know, where we're headed with those young men. So, you know, here we go. We're getting ready. I tell you, you know, just like sitting here talking right now, like I took a walk around campus a little bit ago just to get some fresh air, and Brian White and I walked up. I just looked at our beautiful stadium, and Brian looked at me and he said, "Boy, can't wait till next year we can really walk in that stadium and it's going to be full of fans." And I'm like, "Yeah, me too, man. I just can't wait to push forward and get ready for." I think it's going to be just an unbelievable year of college football because everyone's just dying to get back in those stadiums and dying to. This is all whatever you want to call this right now. You know, this is development of program stuff right now, but you know, it's not the pageantry of college football. So I just hope that these vaccines are in and working and we're back to normal here come the smell of fall. So can't wait.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Hey, Steve, if you'll hang back for me for just a couple minutes. Okay, guys, we're done.